All right, so Fintech today. We're tackling the question, is Adyen stock a good buy?
Yeah.
A lot on investors' minds right now, and we're using this Motley Fool article that you sent over as a starting point for this deep dive.
Okay.
And they're recommending buying Adyen before their Q4 earnings come out on February 13th.
Bold
call, especially since Adyen stock is down about 50% from its all-time high.
Yeah, it definitely is. Seems counterintuitive at first glance.
Yeah.
Usually a stock drop like that might make investors hesitant.
Right.
But the Fool is framing this dip as an opportunity.
Okay.
And to understand why, we need to look closer at what makes Adyen tick.
Okay. So remind me, what exactly does Adyen do?
Yeah.
I know they're in the payment processing space.
Right.
What does that actually mean in practice?
They're the behind-the-scenes players making sure your money gets where it needs to go.
Okay.
Every time you swipe your card at a store or buy something online, think of them as the bridge between your bank and the merchant.
So every time I tap my phone to pay for my morning coffee,
Yeah.
Adyen might be involved.
Very likely.
Yes.
Especially if it's a larger chain.
Okay.
But what sets Adyen apart in this crowded space is their vertically integrated system.
Okay.
They've built their entire platform from scratch, giving them more control over the entire payment process.
Most people wouldn't know the difference
Right.
between a vertically integrated system and any other way of doing things.
Yeah.
What's the real advantage here?
Imagine this. Instead of piecing together different services, Adyen has streamlined everything under one roof.
Okay.
This approach leads to a much higher success rate for payments.
Okay.
Fewer glitches,
Yeah.
fewer declines, just a smoother experience for both the customer and the merchant.
Okay, now that's starting to make sense. A seamless checkout experience is so crucial these days.
Yeah.
And if Adyen can deliver that reliably, I can see why businesses would choose them.
Exactly. And it seems to be working. In 2023, they processed over $1 trillion in payments.
Wow.
To put that in perspective, that's more than the GDP of many countries.
$1 trillion with a T. That's a mind-boggling amount of money.
It is.
But if they're handling that kind of volume,
Yeah.
why is their stock price down? What's the catch?
The catch, or perhaps the opportunity, is that there's still a relatively small fish in a massive pond.
Okay.
While $1 trillion is huge, the global digital payments market is even bigger.
Right.
With established giants like Visa and MasterCard dominating the landscape.
So they have a proven track record.
Yeah.
Impressive volume, but there's still a lot of room for growth.
Precisely.
Okay.
And Adyen's ambitions are clear. They want to be the one-stop shop for all things payment processing.
Okay.
Particularly for large platforms like Spotify and Uber.
Those are some pretty heavy hitters.
Yeah.
What makes them think they can land clients like that?
Think about how smoothly ordering in Uber works.
Yeah.
Even in different countries with various currencies. That's Adyen working behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Ensuring the payment goes through seamlessly.
Right.
No matter where you are. Their system is built to handle those complexities at scale.
That's a good point. I rarely think about the technology that makes those everyday transactions so smooth.
It's pretty amazing.
But for businesses operating globally, that kind of reliability must be invaluable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And because Adyen handles such a massive volume,
Okay.
they can offer competitive pricing while still maintaining healthy profit margins.
Okay.
They're playing the long game, building a robust platform, and aiming to capture a larger share of the market over time.
So they're not just riding the wave of digital payments.
Right.
They're trying to become a major force shaping the industry.
Right.
That's fascinating.
And there's another thing that sets them apart.
Yeah.
Their approach to staffing.
Yeah.
Remember back in 2022 when there were all those tech layoffs?
Yeah. It felt like the industry was in a free fall for a while.
Well, while many Czech companies were cutting back, Adyen actually increased their employee count.
Wow.
They saw the downturn as an opportunity to double down on their global expansion plans.
That's a bold move, especially when everyone else was battening down the hatches.
Yeah.
What was their thinking there?
They were essentially betting on the future.
Okay.
They knew the demand for digital payments would continue to rise.
Yeah.
So they used the downturn to invest in talent and position themselves for future growth.
Okay, so they took a calculated risk.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's starting to pay off.
That's what the numbers suggest.
Oh.
Obviously, hiring all those people did temporarily impact their profit margin.
Right.
But their EBITDA margin reached a healthy 46% in the first half of 2024.
Now, for those of us who don't speak finance fluently,
Sure.
what does that EBITDA number actually tell us?
EBITDA is a measure of a company's profitability
Okay.
that takes into account their core operating expenses, like salaries and costs of goods sold, but excludes things like interest and taxes.
Mm.
So it gives you a clearer picture of how efficiently they're running their business.
And 46% is good.
Right. That's considered a very healthy margin, especially in the tech industry,
Okay.
indicating that they're managing their costs effectively and generating strong profits from their core operations.
So to recap, we've got a company with a unique business model, impressive growth,
Yeah.
and a solid financial track record.
Cool.
What's the Motley Fool's overall take on all of this?
Yeah.
Why are they so bullish on Adyen?
They're predicting that Adyen's revenue will grow by at least 20% annually through 2026 and likely beyond.
Oh.
Their optimism stems from two key trends:
Okay.
the continued global shift toward digital payments
Mm-hmm.
and the natural boost that inflation gives to the value of transactions.
It's true. I can barely remember the last time I used cash.
Yeah.
It feels like everything is going digital.
It really does.
And rising prices just mean more money flowing through these payment systems.
Exactly. So Adyen is well positioned to capitalize on these trends.
Okay.
But of course, this is just one perspective.
Sure.
And as always, it's important to dig deeper and consider other factors before making any investment decisions.
Absolutely. We're just scratching the surface here.
Yeah.
But what are the key takeaways that are making you go, maybe I should dig a little deeper into Adyen?
What's fascinating to me is how Adyen is strategically positioning themselves for long-term success.
Yeah.
They're not just riding the wave of digital payments.
Right.
They're actively shaping the future of the industry.
I agree. Their focus on building a robust, vertically integrated platform and their willingness to invest heavily during a downturn really impressed me.
Yeah.
It suggests they have a clear vision and the confidence to execute it.
Absolutely.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
the potential for growth is massive. The digital payments landscape is still evolving, and Adyen is right in the thick of it. But with any potential reward comes risk.
That's a good point. No investment is a sure thing.
Right.
What are some of the potential challenges or downsides that investors should be aware of?
Well,
For one, the payments processing industry is incredibly competitive.
yeah.
Even though Adyen has carved out a strong position, they're up against some real heavyweights like Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal,
Right.
all vying for market share.
So even though Adyen has a strong position, they're not exactly operating in a vacuum.
Exactly. They need to constantly innovate and adapt to stay ahead of the curve.
Okay.
And while their vertically integrated model is an advantage,
Right.
it also requires significant investment to maintain and scale.
That makes sense. Building and managing your own technology comes with a hefty price tag.
Yeah.
And on that note, we'll pause here for now. We've covered a lot of ground, from Adyen's unique business model to their impressive growth. But we also need to consider the potential risks and challenges they face. We were just talking about some of the potential challenges Adyen might face, even with their impressive growth and innovative technology.
Right. And one of the big ones is regulatory risk.
Okay.
The financial services industry is heavily regulated, and any changes in laws or regulations, whether domestically or internationally, could have a significant impact on their business.
That makes sense. Navigating those legal waters can be a real headache for any company,
Oh, yeah.
especially one operating across borders.
Absolutely. And we can't forget about the impact of economic factors.
Right.
Adyen's business is fundamentally tied to global economic conditions.
Okay.
If there's a downturn or a recession, businesses might see a decrease in transactions,
Yeah.
which could directly impact Adyen's revenue.
That's a crucial point. Their success is somewhat dependent on the overall health of the global economy.
It is.
So it's not just about their technology or their market strategy.
Right.
They're also vulnerable to forces outside their control.
Exactly. And even though they've been successful in securing partnerships with large platforms like Uber and Spotify, that reliance on a few key clients could pose a risk.
Oh,
If those platforms face their own challenges, or if their relationship with Adyen were to change.
that's interesting. I hadn't considered that angle before.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that even seemingly strong partnerships can shift over time.
Definitely.
So with all these potential challenges in mind, what would you say are the key questions that an investor should be asking themselves before considering Adyen?
If I were evaluating Adyen, I'd want to understand how they're differentiating themselves
Okay.
from those established giants like Visa and MasterCard.
Uh-huh.
Are they winning new clients at a healthy pace?
Right.
What are their strategies for expanding into new markets?
Yeah.
And how are they navigating those regulatory hurdles we talked about?
It sounds like you're really emphasizing the importance of looking beyond the hype.
I think so.
And understanding the nuances of their competitive landscape.
Absolutely. I'd also be scrutinizing their financial performance.
Okay.
Beyond just those top-line revenue figures.
Yeah.
Are their profit margins consistently growing?
Uh-huh.
Or are they sacrificing profitability for rapid expansion?
Mm.
Are they managing their expenses effectively? Especially given their significant investments in technology and personnel.
Okay.
How are they using their capital?
Yeah.
Are they making smart acquisitions, investing in R&D, or perhaps buying back shares?
You're painting a picture of a savvy investor who's really digging into the details, not just taking things at face value.
Well, informed decisions require thorough research.
Right.
And finally, don't underestimate the importance of understanding the management team
Okay.
and their vision for the future.
Yeah.
Are they adaptable, forward-thinking?
Uh-huh.
Do they have a clear roadmap for navigating potential challenges and seizing opportunities?
That's a good point. It ultimately comes down to trusting the people at the helm.
It does.
So we've gone from Adyen's impressive growth to some very real risks and challenges.
Yeah.
What's the takeaway for our listeners who might be considering investing in this company?
I think the main takeaway is this. Adyen is undoubtedly a fascinating company, operating in a dynamic and rapidly growing industry. They've demonstrated innovation and a willingness to make bold moves.
Right.
But they're not without their vulnerabilities.
So don't let the Motley Fool's optimism, or any single article for that matter, be the sole basis for your investment decisions.
Exactly. Critical thinking is crucial. Read multiple sources. Analyze different viewpoints.
Yeah.
And don't forget to factor in your own risk tolerance and investment goals.
Right.
Every individual's financial situation is unique.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive into Adyen, is there anything else that stands out to you about their business model or their approach to the market?
You know what really strikes me is their unwavering commitment to building a truly global platform. They're not just focused on one specific region or market. They're actively expanding across continents and partnering with businesses of all sizes.
It's like they're trying to create a universal language for digital payments,
Yeah.
transcending borders and currencies.
That's a great way to put it. And I think that global vision is a key part of their long-term strategy.
Yeah.
They're betting that the future of commerce will be increasingly borderless and interconnected.
And if that bet pays off, they could be in a very advantageous position.
Absolutely. They could become the backbone of a truly global digital economy.
Wow.
But that ambition also exposes them to a whole new set of complexities and risks.
Like what?
Well, the global landscape is constantly shifting. Geopolitical events, changes in trade policies, and even the rise of new technologies could significantly impact their expansion plans.
Right.
Think about the potential for trade wars. Data privacy regulations that vary from country to country, or even the emergence of new digital currencies.
Wow, that's a lot to consider. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of their technology and growth potential.
Yeah.
But you're right, the geopolitical landscape can be unpredictable, to say the least.
It certainly adds another layer of complexity to their story.
It sounds like you're encouraging our listeners to think beyond just the financials and consider these broader trends that could impact Adyen's future.
Absolutely. It's about connecting the dots, seeing the bigger picture, and ultimately empowering yourself to make more informed decisions.
Right.
Not just about Adyen, but about any investment.
So we've talked about Adyen's technology, their ambitions, and some of the potential risks they face, both in terms of competition and the broader global landscape. What's the key takeaway for our listeners as they continue to research Adyen?
I think the most important thing to remember is that Adyen is operating in a space that's constantly evolving.
Right.
The world of digital payments is dynamic and influenced by a complex web of factors. From technological advancements to geopolitical shifts.
It's not just about understanding their financials or their current market position.
Right.
It's about trying to anticipate where the industry is headed and how those larger trends might impact Adyen's future.
Exactly. Take those geopolitical factors we were just discussing as an example. How might escalating trade tensions between major economies affect Adyen's ability to operate seamlessly across borders?
Right.
Or how could the growing push for data localization Countries requiring data to be stored within their own borders
Yeah.
create challenges for a company built on global data flows.
Those are some thought-provoking questions. It's almost like we're asking our listeners to play a game of strategic chess, anticipating potential moves and counter-moves on the global stage.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
Investing in a company like Adyen,
Yeah.
a company with global ambitions,
Right.
requires that kind of forward thinking.
And don't forget about the emergence of central bank digital currencies or the growing adoption of cryptocurrency. These are all factors that could disrupt the existing payments landscape and create both opportunities and challenges for Adyen.
Definitely.
It sounds like you're encouraging our listeners to view Adyen not just as a tech company, but as a company deeply intertwined with the evolving fabric of the global economy.
Precisely. Their success or failure will depend not only on their own strategic decisions and technological innovation, but also on their ability to adapt to forces larger than themselves.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Adyen, what's the final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I think it comes back to that idea of informed decision-making.
Yeah.
Don't just rely on headlines or a single source of information. Dig deeper. Ask critical questions. And try to understand the complexities of the industry and the broader context in which Adyen operates. The more informed you are, the better equipped you'll be to assess the potential risks and rewards of any investment.
Well said. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into Adyen.
Great.
We hope this has provided you with a solid foundation for your own research.
Absolutely.
Remember, knowledge is power.
It is.
Especially in the world of investing. So stay curious, keep learning,
yes,
and happy diving.